Sorry for the interruption. Now let's continue. Riken was not smiling. He'd been a lifelong believer in not shooting the messenger, but today that tradition was in danger. Lifelong believer in not shooting the messenger, but today that tradition was in danger of expiring. Behind him loomed an anti-air turret, blanketing them all in its shadows and shielding them from the dim glare of the morning sun. A squad of his men worked on this turret as they had worked on countless others along the walls in the space of the last 2 months. It was almost operational. They weren't techs by any means, but they knew the basic maintenance rights and calibration rituals. 1 minute to test fire, Vantine said, her voice muffled by her breather mask. And that was when the messenger showed up. It was also when Riken stopped smiling, despite the fact the messenger was easy on the eyes, as though the starched, narrow-eyed tactica at types went. "I want these orders rechecked," he demanded, calmly, but demand nevertheless. "With all due respect, sir." The messenger straightened her own ochre uniform. "These orders come from the old man himself. He's reorganizing the disposition of all our forces, and the Steel Legion are honored to be first in that reappraisal." The words stole Riken's desire to argue. So it was true. Then the old man was back. But helsreach is half a continent away. He tried. We've been working on the Hades wall guns for months. 30 seconds to test fire, Vantine called. The messenger, whose name was Syria Tyrol, wasn't smiling either. In her position as Adjutant Quintus to General Kurov, grants and plebeians were forever questioning the orders she relayed, as if she would ever dare alter a single word of the general's instructions. The other adjutants had no difficulties in this area. She was sure of it, but for some unknown reason, these low-born dregs just simply didn't take well to her. Perhaps they were jealous of her position. If so, then they were more foolish than she'd have given them credence for. "I've long been entrusted with certain aspects of the general's plans," Tyrol lied. "But frontliners such as yourself are only now being made aware of. I apologize if this is a surprise to you, Major, but orders are orders. And these orders come with the highest mandate imaginable. Are we not even going to defend the damn hive?" At this moment, Vantine test-fired the turret. The floor beneath their feet shook as 4 cannon barrels blasted their anger up at the empty sky. Riken swore, though it was drowned out in the ear-ringing thunder of the gun's echo. Tyrol also swore, though unlike Riken's general lament, hers was aimed at Vantine and the gun crew. The Major was close to yelling over the ache in his ears. It was fading, but not fast. "I said, are we not even going to defend the damn hive?" "No, we are not." Tyrol almost pouted, her mouth compressed in restrained irritation. "You are going to hell's reach with your regiment. You're and the ports leave tonight. All of the 101st Steel Legion is to be aboard and ready for transport by sunset in 6.5 hours. Riken paused. 6.5 hours to get 3,000 men and women into heavy lifter transports, gunships, and land trains. It was the kind of bad news that made the Major feel the need to be overwhelmingly honest. Colonel Saturn is going to be furious. Colonel Saturn has dealt with this assignment with grace and solemn devotion to his duty, Major. Your commanding officer still has much to teach you in that regard, I see. Cute. Now tell me why it's us being sent all the way to helsreach. I thought that Ensign and the 101st were the kings of that shit pile. Colonel Ensign had terminal failure of his augmented heart infuses this morning. His second officer requested Saturn by name, and General Kurov agreed. That old bastard's finally dead. That'll teach him to lay off the garage brood sauce. Ha ha! All those expensive augmentics he had done, and he keels over 6 months later. I like that. That's delicious. Major, some respect if you please. Riken frowned. I don't like you, he told Tyro. How grievous, the general assistant replied. And there was no mistaking the dark, unamused scowl on her face. For you have been appointed a liaison to aid in dealings with the Astartes and the conscripted militia. She looked as if she'd eaten something sour, and it was still wriggling on her tongue. So, I'll be coming with you. A moment of curious kinship passed between them, almost going unspoken. They were being exiled to the same place, after all. Their eyes met in that moment, and the foundation of something like a reluctant friendship almost bloomed beneath them. It was broken when Riken walked away. I still don't like you. Hades' hive will not survive the first week. The man speaking is ancient, and he looks every hour of his age. What keeps him on his feet is a mixture of minimal rejuvenate chem surgeries, crude bionics, and a faith in the Emperor, founded in hatred for the enemies of man. I liked him the moment my visors, targeting reticules, locked onto him. Both piety and hate echo in his every word. He should not hold rank here, not to the degree he does. He is merely a commissar in the Imperial Guard, and such a title does not tend to make generals, colonels, Astarte his captains, and chapter masters remain in polite silence when it comes to tactical planning. Yet to the humans at this war council and the citizens of Armageddon, he is the old man, a beloved hero of the Second War, 57 years ago. Not just a hero, the hero. His name is Sebastian Yarrick. Even we Astartes must respect that name. And when he tells us all that Hades' hive will be destroyed within a matter of days, 100 Imperial commanders, human and Astartes alike, hang on his every word. I am one of them. This will be my first true command. Commissar Sebastian Yarrick leans over the edge of a hollow holographic display table with his remaining hand. The other arm is nothing but a stump. He keys in coordinates on the numeric data pad, and the hololith projection of Hades' hive widens with flickering impatience to display both the planet's hemispheres in insignificant detail, or insignificant, I don't know. The old man, a gaunt and wizened human of sharp features and skeletally obvious facial bones, gestures to the blip on the map that represents Hades' hive and its surrounding territories, wastelands in the main. 6 decades ago, 6 decades ago, he says, the great enemy met his defeat at Hades. Our defiance here was what won us that war. There are general murmurs of assent. The commissar's voice carries around the expansive chambers through floating skull drones, equipped with vox speakers where their jaws had once been. I am surrounded by the familiar hum of active power armor through the sense. Though the scents and faces that meet my eyes are new to me. Standing to my left at a respectful distance, his face raggedly proud around extensive bionics, is Chapter Master Seth of the Flesh Terrors. Known to his men as the Guardian of the Rage, he smells of sacred weapon oils, his Primarch potent. His Primarch's potent blood running beneath his weathered skin, and the spicy, unwholesome reptilian scent of the lizard predator kings that stalk the jungles of his home world. Seth is flanked by his own officers, each one bareheaded and with faces as pitted and cracked as their masters. Whatever wars have occupied the Flesh Terrors in recent decades, the conflicts have not been kind to them. To my left, my liege Helbrecht stands resplendent in his battle armor of black and bronze. Bayard, the Emperor's champion, is by his side. Both rest their helmets on the table's surface, the stem helms distorting the edge of the hololithic display, and give their full attention to the ancient commissar. I cross my arms over my chest and do the same. Why? Someone asks. Oh, why? Someone asks. Their voice is low, too low to be human, and carries over the chamber without the need of vox amplification. 100 heads turn to regard Astartes in the bright red-orange a lesser chapter. One unknown to me. He steps forward, leaning his knuckles on the table, facing Yarick from almost 20 meters distance. We recognize Brother Captain Amaris, an Imperial Herald announces from his position at Yarick's side, smoothing the formal blue robes of his office. He bangs the butt of his staff on the ground 3 times, Commander of the Angels of Fire. Amaris nods in thanks and fixes Yarick with his unblinking gaze. Why would the green-skinned warlord simply annihilate the greatest battlefield of the last war? Surely our forces should muster at Hades and stand ready to defend against the largest assault